This is KGW News at Sunrise.
Our top story this morning, the investigation into a double homicide that happened last night in rural Washington County. The sheriff's office tells us the suspect in this case is also dead. We'll bring you the latest details in just a minute. Plus,
it's unfortunate. Our community is afraid. Our students, our staff are afraid.
Schools in the Rainier School District are closed today as the search for a fugitive continues in Columbia County. What we know about the man police are calling armed and dangerous.
And we are talking Thanksgiving. That means holiday travel is going to be picking up next week. How much travel experts say it'll cost drivers to get wherever you're going?
Rod Hill wanted an early start on his Thanksgiving travel, so he took the day off today. Actually, he will be back on Monday, but Chris McGinnis is with us for the next 2 mornings. So, Chris, what do you have for us
today?
Working
on his golf game, right? And he's getting some assist in the drive with that east wind. It is really windy out there. That is kind of the big headline for the metro area. You can't tell that by this camera. All you can tell is that it's dark, right? That's our live look from our Wells Fargo sky camera. The map lit up despite the relatively quiet-ish weather pattern. We've got a lot going on. Freezing fog east the Cascades, dense fog down in the southern Willamette Valley, and chilly conditions if you're not experiencing the east wind this morning. Case in point, Portland and Vancouver in the upper 30s, Scappoose in the mid-20s, Hillsborough 24. We slipped down into the valley where fog is an issue. It's 30 right now in Salem. Freezing fog an issue down towards Corvallis and Eugene right now. All right, the plan for today in Portland, this is very Portland specific in the metro area today. Sunny. You get south of town, foggy, east of town, really windy, breezy in the metro area. Guys have got high temperatures topping out in the upper 40s this afternoon.
All right, more from Chris coming up here in about 8 minutes. But right now, we do want to get to our top story this morning. It's breaking news out of rural Washington County. We're showing you the map here. The sheriff's office investigating a double homicide that happened on the far west end of Shoals Ferry Road. So we have Devin Haskins live on the scene for us this morning. Devin, there's a lot to cover here, including the suspect. The sheriff's office says they do know who's responsible for this.
Yeah, last night when they showed up here around 8 o'clock or just after 8 o'clock, they say they've found someone with an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound inside the house. That person then taken to the hospital where they say they later died. So let's go ahead and set the scene. We're on Shoals Ferry Road, 23,000 block. Not much to see here right now. It's pretty dark out. Scene's been cleared by Washington County Sheriff's Office, but as of late last night around 8 o'clock, like I said, here's what we do know. Deputies found 2 people dead inside the home. Again, that third person, the suspected shooter, found with an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound, taken to the hospital where they said they later died. We don't know the relationship between the 3 or the age or gender of any of the people involved. We did hear, though, during the interview that the sheriff's deputy did say that the person who went to the hospital was a he. So leaves us to believe that the suspected shooter was at least a man. But right now, detectives say that the investigation's still ongoing. They do hope to release more information later on today. So for now, we're live in rural Hillsborough, rural Washington County. I'm Devin Haskins. Let's send it back to you guys.
All right, Devin, thanks for that update. Again, we're going to have Devin reporting on this story for us throughout the morning on Sunrise. Again, more information that can be found for this on our website, kgw.com.
This morning, classes are canceled in the Rainier School District after multiple news sightings of a fugitive police call armed and dangerous in Clatsop County. This is video overnight of the search. You can see police looking for evidence along Highway 30 between Westport and Clatskanie. Fugitive Kevin Reynolds was last spotted yesterday in Westport, about 23 miles west of Rainier.
And police have not confirmed where they think Reynolds might be right now. Investigators do say he's been on the run for weeks, and now a number of small communities are caught in the middle. Catherine Cook has an update from Columbia County.
As the sun set over Rainier Wednesday, the search for a fugitive continued. Columbia County Sheriff's deputies spent a second day and night combing through brush and outbuildings for Kevin Reynolds. The 41-year-old is wanted out of Cowlitz County and considered armed and dangerous. He faces multiple charges, including robbery 1 and felon in possession of a firearm. On Tuesday, authorities learned he was staying in Rainier. Sheriff Brian Pixley says that's when things turned violent.
When we responded, the suspect exited the trailer, produced a firearm, pointed it at Several police officers and bystanders in the area fired one shot at a passerby and then disappeared into the woods.
It's unfortunate. Our community is afraid. Our students, our staff are afraid.
Dr. Joseph Hattrick is Rainier School District Superintendent. Around 12:30 Wednesday, he activated a lock-in, keeping kids inside in cooperation with the Columbia County Sheriff's Office. Deputies had set up a perimeter near the school to search for Reynolds. Normally, kids would have gone home around 1 o'clock Wednesday, but they stayed until 2:20 when deputies gave the all clear.
The comforting thing to hear from Columbia County Sheriff throughout the day was our students are safest here. Let's keep them off the roads. Let's keep them in a safe place. And so we did that.
With Reynolds still on the loose, the district announced that schools would remain closed on Thursday. Investigators are still searching for Reynolds as a community waits on edge.
But I think the number one thing is just fear and anxiety that there's someone out in our community right now that we have no idea where or how to prepare for that.
If anyone sees Kevin Reynolds or knows where he is, they're asked to call 911 right away. Again, he's considered armed and dangerous. In Rainier, Catherine Cook, KGW News.
We're following that report from Catherine with an update this morning on the 2 suspects who were shot by police in Washington earlier this week. The 2 suspects were wanted for a homicide and a carjacking in Clackamas County. And now we're hearing from one of their alleged victims. Back on Monday, police in Lewis County spotted these suspects, chased them up I-5 to Grand Mound. And that's where the pair allegedly shot and tried to carjack a driver. Moments later, they targeted another driver by the name of Jerry. Investigators say the suspects took off with Jerry's truck. His dog Brutus was still in the back seat. Take a look.
It was so quick. It was like, whoa, this guy has a gun. Whoa, he's shooting. Whoa, he's in my face. They didn't care. They had nothing to lose.
Again, that was Jerry we're hearing from there. Police say when they caught up with the 2 suspects, they fired at the truck. They killed one of the suspects, wounded the second. The dog, by the way, Brutus there, not hurt. The surviving suspect is in the hospital, and we're still working to find out more information about the original crime that was committed in Clackamas County that sparked that search.
Other headlines this morning, Mayor Ted Wheeler saying he plans to meet with Oregon Governor-elect Tina Kotek every 2 weeks to discuss Portland issues. Yesterday, Kotek made an unannounced stop at Portland City Council. She pledged to help the city tackle homelessness and partner with businesses to revitalize downtown. Washington Senator Patty Murray will make history in Congress. Yesterday, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer announced he'll nominate her to serve as Senate President pro tem. That would make her third in line to the presidency, right behind the Vice President and House Speaker. Murray would be the first woman to hold that position. She was just reelected to her 6th term in Congress. And a shooting near McMinnville High School forced it to shut down yesterday. Police got a call from people who live nearby saying they heard gunshots. All this happened before students were in the building. Police say a wall at the school was damaged and officers found shell casings on the street. Mac High canceled classes so officers could investigate. No one was hurt, no word yet on a suspect. And those are some of your Thursday headlines.
Well, if you're driving for Thanksgiving next week, keep in mind a lot of other people will be doing the same thing. AAA says 55 million Americans will be traveling 50 miles or more for this holiday, and 777,000 of those will be Oregonians. The top 3 destinations for Oregonians are Bend, Lincoln City, and Seattle. And it's also going to cost you more to get there. AAA says the current national average for regular gas, $3.74. Oregon's average is more than $1 over that at $4.76. That is almost $1 more per gallon than we were paying this time last year. But AAA says that really hasn't stopped people from canceling their trips.
High gas prices do pack a punch to the family budget, so people will make cutbacks in other areas if they need to. Things like looking at more affordable accommodations, limiting shopping, looking at free activities, that sort of thing.
Yeah, all smart things to do. Air travel, by the way, this year up to about 8% of travelers are choosing to fly next week. So it'll be busy.
Yesterday on the show, Chris, we talked about our plans next week. Staying, flying for Thanksgiving. How about the McGinnis household? You guys staying or going?
We're staying.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Hosting?
We're gonna enjoy some good family time and avoid all those extra expenses with traveling, right?
Oh, family time in the car is wonderful.
No, those are sure it is.
Or little kids on a plane.
Yeah. What do you have for us weather-wise this morning, Chris?
I have got despite the relatively benign weather with the sunshine, there's actually a lot going on. With the weather warning map here, it's kind of lit up, right? We've got the teal shade east, the Cascades gray south, and then beige and golden in the center here. What does that mean? Okay, let's break it down for you. First off, a high wind warning for the Columbia River Gorge and a wind advisory for the Portland-Vancouver metro area, especially for east-facing hillsides and areas close to the Columbia River Gorge. That's where the wind will be at its strongest. We've had winds gusting on the Glen Jackson Bridge, the I-205 bridge, to 40 miles an hour this morning. We've had winds gusting overnight into the 80 to 90 mile an hour range up at Crown Point, which is one of those really exposed outcroppings in the Columbia River Gorge. And here's Futurecast through late this afternoon. It pegs east wind gusts on the order of 30 to 40 miles an hour across a good chunk of the metro area, and then some of the gaps in the Coast Range, or I should say in the Cascades, and at the Oregon coast as well. It'll be a breezy and mild day at the coast. If you are not experiencing the east wind this morning, there's a good chance you're pretty cold. Hillsborough, it's not very windy, but it is 24. The wind helps keep temperatures up. If you don't have the wind, it's colder. It's 30 right now in Salem. It's 28 in Kaiser, and we do have issues with fog and freezing fog for the southern Willamette Valley. Here's kind of an interesting shot. I wanted to take this real quick, and I hope you can see it at home. This is from our Timberline camera. Mount Jefferson off in the distance, a little bit of a cloud deck here that is settled in the Cascades, and basically that is socking in areas across central and north central Oregon in a thick layer of fog and freezing fog. So the air is just pure yuck over there, and you can see Futurecast shows that that's not going to change much today with the low cloudiness kind of hanging tough there. Metro area and here in, well, up and down the I-5 corridor down to about Salem, good chance we see mostly sunny conditions. The fog will take a while to lift once you get south of Corvallis, but I think eventually it does. We're on our way to a high of about 48 today, chilly night tonight. And by the way, I've got low temperatures tomorrow morning and Saturday morning in the low 30s because of east wind in Portland. If you do not experience east wind, temperatures could plummet into the lower 20s early tomorrow and especially Saturday morning. Guys, we remain dry until the start of next work week, and then the rain train returns on Monday.
Beware the rain train. Thank you very much, Chris McGinnis. All right, let's talk about something fun this time of the year here at KGW. It's our annual Great Toy Drive, which is happening right now. This morning, we want to give you an idea of how you can help the toy drive and what a difference that help can make. We're going to hear from a family who has benefited from the toy drive in the past and the local nonprofit that made that happen.